Oh, right.
I think we can all agree that Will Smith was a better genie.
Yeah.
And you can use that as like the intro clip.
You're listening to Zoo, the Show, the Podcast.
I'm Joey.
William.
And Dallas.
We're talking about Zoo, episode 4, Pack Mentality. A good episode, better than the first two. Maybe as good or better than the third.
I vote better.
I
'Cause
think-
the third, it was very late in the game.
Yeah.
When Evan was introduced.
Yeah, I mean, I think like the how good an episode is pretty much entirely dependent on how much Evan is in it.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, that's just going to be... Well, I don't know. There was some good not Evan stuff.
There was some
style
good
stuff.
not Evan stuff. That but just like like good stuff in that it's crazy and it doesn't
Yeah,
make any sense.
Like insanity.
Which is, I mean, I guess what we're watching this show for.
And we don't have to deal with the absurd amount of exposition that's just repeated.
It's true. They've stopped like reminding us over and over again that this is a show about all animals attacking all humans.
Overtly, at least. Like,
Yeah.
They're still...
I mean, it's always going to remind you of that when the animals attack all humans. You're going to remember.
And they're like, look out, this animal's attacking a human.
So this episode, I mean, it starts with the opening sequence where they explain the premise of the show. But Dallas and I noticed a new something we hadn't noticed before,
Yeah.
which is that it shows it shows like files on each of the characters, each of the main characters, and next to Mitch, the pathologist,
Yeah, the
veterinary
veterinary
student,
pathologist.
he has undergraduate next to him, which implies to me that he doesn't have a master's degree.
He's just some guy.
He's like really faked his way into this position on this like international animal research group.
And I mean, to be fair to him, his picture was covering up part of it, but like that's just a bad format to have in a file. Like,
Yeah.
like
Maybe it's that he teaches undergrad.
you know what? Yeah, maybe.
That's probably
It was
the truth.
still strange.
But he doesn't have tenure. We've confirmed that,
Yes.
at least. So the episode starts, they're at the airport, everybody is together, which is a great thing. We don't jump around nearly as much this
Oh,
episode.
thank God.
And Jackson Oz is talking to Abraham about how he has issues with his father.
And also with Mitch.
Yeah, how he hates fucking Mitch and he hates his dad. And he has issues with his dad because at one point his father, when he was a child, asked him if he wanted to buy
His soul.
his father's soul, which is a really weird thing to ask a child. Yes, but it's not like
the worst.
it's not abusive. It's just weird, and like
I think he just watched the episode of The Simpsons. I was like, this was a funny, good episode.
I would like to do that in real life now.
Yeah.
Well, his dad is also the guy who named his island where he keeps his eyeless horses, the gift of Christmas future or whatever.
Yeah, the ghost of Christmas future.
That's the kind of energy he just like brings to the.
Yeah, just absurd, just nonsensical.
So he talks about how he hates his dad and how he hates Mitch, and we don't know why he hates Mitch really. I think they weren't getting along at the end of last episode either, but not like for
Well,
any.
the thing is, he made a few comments about his dad.
Yeah.
Comments that like make sense.
Right. Yeah.
Like-
Everyone didn't trust his dad. Like his dad was as like believed all animals attacked all humans.
Like
and...
his dad was the kind of guy that would name an island the ghost of the ghost of Christmas future.
Yeah. So they get angry. Mitch takes some shots at Jackson Oz's dad's handwriting when he shows it to him.
Yeah.
Because that's the kind of guy Mitch is.
Yeah.
And then we go straight into the second opening.
Well, before that, the interesting thing, when it switches to Mitch and what's the lady's name?
Oh,
Jamie.
Chloe.
Jamie?
No, Chloe. Chloe's
Chloe.
the French. Or no, Chloe.
I thought it was Chloe.
Oh, no, Chloe's the French
Yeah, which one's
detective.
the journalist?
Who's the journalist?
Jamie?
Jamie. I think Jamie.
Something.
That feels
whatever.
right.
But like it just has this whole notepad, and Mitch has written like symptoms, and there's like 4 things.
Eye dilation, hive mind.
And then it causes question mark. Like, and it's funny enough that this guy's doing that. And then the journalist lady reaches over with her pen, crosses out question mark, and writes Raiden Global. Like, and at that point, I'm sitting there, like, this is already a parody of itself. They know that this is a ridiculous character with a just ridiculous opinion, and they're just messing with us.
Yeah, 4 episodes in.
4 episodes in.
So they're all going. Chloe announces that they're going to Mississippi, which
Yes.
huzzah! Anything to get them closer to Evan and get Evan into the picture more, I'm down for. And then we go into the second title sequence where they just play music and show like different animals.
Yeah, I'm convinced at this point that it's going to do a perspective switch halfway through, and Evan's really the main character.
I'm telling you, like
he's the hero.
This is a pro animal show all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even the like main characters who are ostensibly trying to defeat animals are like still like
They're cool.
throughout the
guys.
show they're like, I'm not going to kill an animal if I can avoid it. Second opening happens. They're in Mississippi, and Chloe is in charge of the group apparently.
Yeah.
And she starts splitting them off, and she sends she and Jackson and Jamie go to the prison, while she sends Mitch and Abraham to go catch a wolf.
Yeah.
Like not
a
like
live wolf.
they don't have a plan. They haven't hired someone to help them do this. They're just like, she's just like, go catch a wolf. I don't have any equipment for you. Here's a credit card. Go get. There's a hunting shop down the road.
They've never been to Mississippi.
She also talks about like she doesn't know the American word for confidential apparently.
Yeah, so
she's like an international like French spy.
Mhm.
But somehow
That's the one word.
yeah, that's the one word in the English language that she doesn't have a grasp on.
But like, and so this is also where they reveal that they're like off like they are not like supported by they're getting monetary support, but no government like is like helping them directly.
Yeah,
which is bizarre. To like what's the worry that someone else is going to find out about all animals attacking all people and use it against the French somehow?
But then they say that the French government is paying the bill.
They are paying the bill.
Yeah, they are, but they're not like openly like.
It's essentially them just saying like, you're going to have to figure it out yourself.
Yeah,
it's like
even though it would be much easier.
it would make more sense. It's an excuse for them to do extra shit.
That's true.
Yeah.
And to like feel like more of a ragtag scrappy group
more
than
more like an A team.
Any reason.
Than the gun shop scene.
Yeah.
Which is a very strange scene, because right away you feel some like I don't even know what it would be if it's like some anti-South feelings on the writing squad.
I mean, I would say that they come in and Abraham's like, wow, this gun store's busy. It is popping off. There's like 8-10 people in this gun store.
There's like no walking room. Like everyone's like scrambling.
And I really thought he went up and asked somebody, why are you so busy? And I really for a second thought he was gonna be like, I don't know, man. Thursday. What you gonna do?
This is Mississippi boy.
But no, it was there's been a wolf call. They're all going out into the woods and hunting wolves, which they're all like so just like they're all like very horny to kill some wolves.
Yeah,
like,
horny enough to like get in almost a physical altercation over it for no reason.
Yeah, Mitch in this hunting store is like, I don't think you should kill animals, actually. And like, man, wrong place to be.
Yeah, he makes the comment that like, what goes better together than beer and high-powered rifles? And these guys just have had enough.
Yeah.
Like, he's like, I want to catch a wolf, not kill it. And they're like, who, boy, what you talking about, boy? This Mississippi down there,
He barely had an accent, even.
Yeah.
Not at all.
Yeah, not at all. He just looked like.
And none of the other extras had an accent at all. He a little bit, maybe.
They should have though. That's the thing. They should have.
Like, I mean, just like hire a person who's from Mississippi, maybe,
Yeah.
instead of like trying to get an actor to like. Maybe that guy is though. I don't want to. Maybe he is.
Yeah.
He just doesn't have a very
He just
thick
lost
accent.
it in
Yeah.
Hollywood after all those years.
Yeah.
And the whole time in this hunting scene, even before that, like, the second she's like, "Here's money for the hunting store." Like, what hunting store has wolf catching gear?
Well, guess what? This hunting store doesn't have any except for net guns.
Net guns.
Net guns. Oh yeah, we got some net guns round
Like,
back.
how would
of
that
course.
be for hunting? Like,
Or, you know.
and then like it shows them, and it's not like camouflage or anything. It's like some like paramilitary looking, like all black, like tactical style net guns.
And they didn't even fire it once in this episode,
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
which is infuriating. Not
That's-
even to miss.
That's the one bad thing about this episode, other than every part that the journalist lady's in.
Possibly slightly out of order. They go to the prison. Not Mitch and Abraham. They're off into the woods.
Mhm.
But Jackson, Chloe, and Jamie are at the prison. Chloe gets them in by saying some stuff about like she lies essentially and says
Yeah.
they're from some French
Mhm.
consul there to check out a French prisoner.
They're constantly lying at this federal prison, and
Yeah.
they're just like, okay, I
in
guess.
the name of the French government,
Yeah.
which is like definitely going to cause some issues when they get caught as spies.
Yeah.
And the prison guard is like sexist for a little bit towards Chloe, and then they get in, and
they get to a bigger jackhole cop.
yeah,
Who's
Schaefer.
like, he's like straight up telling like World War I jokes about
Yeah.
France and stuff.
Which I don't even really know what that joke, like what the premise of it was. Like I didn't get
Oh.
that joke.
Yeah.
The Germans just waddled in.
Oh,
And the
Like-
French just like let it happen.
Like,
I
all
guess.
right.
just
It's a
being
very
very forced.
it's like a very poor joke
Mhm.
because like I don't know what it would be like to be French and hear that,
Mhm.
but it seems like not only like unfunny, but also like not even like that offensive.
Right.
So it's just ineffective on both grounds. Like,
And then, so Jackson has become so much more aware of his surroundings in this episode. He's so much
Mhm.
better at deducting things than he has been in the past.
yeah, out of nowhere.
He looks around and he's like, "There's no poop anywhere here.
Yeah.
There's no scat.
There's no shit anywhere." That's like what he he made that observation, but he makes that observation anywhere he goes. This
Yeah.
is just, wait a minute, guys, there's no poop anywhere here. And
Like,
this
yeah,
is-
thanks, Jackson. Thanks, man.
This is just the first time it's been relevant. He sees that, and he sees a video of Evan, Evan doing his weird mind meld with the wolf,
Yeah.
and is like instantly is like, he's the alpha, he's controlling these wolves. Alphas are not a thing,
Yeah.
but in the show's logic, they are.
Like, if anyone doesn't know that's listening to this, the wolves are not, they don't have an alpha male. Like, they're pretty equal.
They're familial,
Yeah, they
The
just got
parents.
families.
run things.
But yeah, so not only is he's supposed to be this animal expert that doesn't know anything about animals, there's that.
And then we cut to brand new characters, brand new continent.
Oh, yeah,
First
yeah.
time we've ever been to Antarctica in this show, which is actually pretty surprising considering
Yeah.
how much we jump around in the show.
Yes.
And this is another one of those. This is a self-contained story, completely irrelevant to the main story, except that it gives us a chance to see some animal attacks.
Yes.
Some
Genius animal attacks.
and it's this couple who are doing an experiment with birds in Antarctica.
Yeah.
It's not really revealed what the experiment is.
Or really the relationship.
I-
I feel like it was supposed to be a surprise that they're a couple.
Yeah,
'Cause it's like two middle-aged women scientists.
I mean, they reveal it pretty quickly in
Yeah.
that first scene. And I was at the second they did that, I was like, oh no, this couple isn't gonna make it through. Like,
Yeah.
there's no way. This is on CBS. There's no way they could let a gay couple live for more than an episode.
Yeah. And like the way they do it's funny because they're already yelling at each other in a fight,
Yeah.
and then one of them brings up the fact that they're like married,
Mhm.
and I'm like, okay, come
Yeah,
on now.
they're already having a tough time, and then one of them looks out the windows, and a swarm of bats, which I don't know that bats would be able to survive in Antarctica for any period of time,
Yeah.
really.
I doubt it. There's just there's no bats there, so.
Yeah.
Like,
There's like no bugs to eat. That's what
That's
they.
true. So where did they travel from?
Yeah, how would they even get there?
Like,
Are they,
what's
maybe
the
they're the
most-
same bats that took down the plane.
they've just been flying for a real long time.
Yeah.
That's true.
It's just whatever the most northern, I guess, or not most northern, most
Southern.
most southern.
It's South America and Argentina, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I
still
mean,
really far.
yeah, bats fly for pretty long distances. I mean, I don't doubt that they could get there. I doubt that they could survive
Mm.
once they arrive.
Yeah.
And that they cared enough.
Yeah. They're like, oh God, what are we doing here, guys? But so they're swarming. They swarm the solar panels, and that cuts the power off in the building immediately.
Instantaneously, very bad solar panels.
Yeah, which is not how electricity works in any respect.
Mhm.
God, this scene's so weird because it does have some. I don't know if you guys noticed it, but while they're fighting, one of them is like, "Only 2 months left," and she like storms over to this giant panel of calendars, where every day has like a black cross on it, and for some reason on this day she uses a red marker to do a red cross
Oh.
on that day, and then all of a sudden bats start doing their thing.
It's imagery.
Yeah, so I mean it's pretty interesting. Like every time something like that pops up in this show, I'm very like I don't know if they mean to or not.
Maybe we should keep an eye out for if there are any more red X's.
Yeah,
And see if it comes
this
up
might
again.
be like a Departed situation.
Red X watch. But we didn't. I don't think I've seen any in any previous death.
I don't either.
Characters.
Like it's
But
very strange.
Eyes open for episode 5.
Yeah, we gotta keep more imagery in mind.
We pop back over to Mississippi in the hotel where Jackson and Abraham are talking about Jackson's dad again because
Yeah.
that's like 50% of the scenes with Jackson are him talking about his dad.
Because he has nothing to contribute other than being the son of somebody.
Who knew
This is
stuff
like-
about this? Talking about his dad, and then Abraham and he like get trashed on hotel booze from
Yeah.
from this tiny from the little mini fridge on the French government's dime.
And I mean, I know it's a like national government, but that's got to put a hurting on him. Like Abraham's a big dude. He would have to go through like three of the mini bars full.
If we
Yeah.
ever are funded by the French government for this podcast, I'm gonna get so trashed in
We'll
a
have
days
to-
in.
We'll just have to get really messed up and watch like French theater and stuff. We got to do that. Sponsored by the French government.
The French government has reached out.
Yeah.
They just think that we're the new face.
We're the new face
We're gonna
of
get
France.
tourists.
That happens in trouble. So yes. And we have to constantly call room service for more minibar restocking.
Yeah.
They talk about his dad for a little bit. Nothing really of interest.
Yeah.
Other than like, my dad was pretty tough.
He's crazy.
And then we go over to Chloe, who's still using Windows 10. Or Chloe and Jamie.
Jamie's using like.
Windows 10.
Well, I use Windows 10.
No,
Don't say still uses
he
Windows 10.
still uses Windows 10 here in the. Get Linux, Jamie. And they're basically just reading up on Evan, who was an upstanding citizen, a fisherman, not like particularly anti-hunter.
Yeah, he's like a biologist by trade.
Yeah.
And here's what gets me, because they try to shoehorn in Jamie's usefulness, and I know that this whole time I've been the conductor of the anti-Jamie train, but like. She just, like, Google searches the guy's name and finds an article about him getting arrested. Mm-hmm. And, like, suddenly that's just some insanely useful insight. Like, they wouldn't have some kind of file on this anyway. like this, the secret agent lady is listening. Like, oh, I didn't know that. Like, why didn't you know that?
Yeah.
Do your job.
Jamie is
Anyone can
doing
look it
the intern level
Yeah.
work at this point in the show.
Like, she is purely there to do like the grunt work as far as journalistically, which is just doing a Google search and hitting the first result, and also to just like immediately interpret any kind of information as Rating Global did this.
Yeah.
I really want to, I desperately want to like Jamie, and it just hasn't happened yet, but I'm holding out hope for a turn where she like straight up like boxes with a kangaroo or something.
Yeah. Or like where she melds with a kangaroo
And becomes its master.
and then uses it like
Mm.
like a Real Steel situation. And she's like boxing on the side, the kangaroo's punching people.
Let's see here. Oh, there's implications that like he was totally normal before that day in the woods, which implies to me that maybe he's not in charge of the wolves,
Yeah,
but
maybe,
the wolves are in charge of him.
possibly yes. Or maybe he got like whatever it was first and then spread it to the wolves.
Yeah, maybe.
Because he said he was sick, and it's like a whole thing. Literally the best part of this show. Like, his storyline's the only good one so far.
Yeah, it would be dope if like 7 episodes in they did an all Evan like flashback episode.
Like, I'm just waiting for the perspective switch where it just switches to him, and then it ends out the show with him like taking over the world. Like, that'd be sick.
They go to sleep, but Chloe can't sleep. She's jet lagged. She goes down to the hotel bar where Schaefer,
Yeah.
the asshole,
Yeah, the just piece of human garbage cop suddenly reveals that not only does he know French,
mm-hmm.
but the papers that they presented at the prison
were like tax code or something.
yeah.
Like, which is like a wild lie, because French isn't like that weird a language to like have someone know, especially if like someone comes and they're like, I'm from the French government. Like, you would think that they would send somebody
Yeah.
who like, and it's just like, what's the end goal? It's wild how little support they seem to have from the French government.
Right.
Like, why are they like a dark ops? Like,
Yeah, with like nothing, like no equipment, like no,
just money.
not even paperwork. Like, you could
Yeah.
send a PDF.
Yeah.
Like, this wasn't before the internet, or else Jamie would be entirely useless. Like, they can just send an email.
I think the French are just ashamed. They're suspicious, but like we can't let anyone know about this and make fun of us
Yeah,
for thinking all animals attack all people.
like, we can't
Which
have
is true.
we can't have some douchebag cops in America just making jokes about us believing animals or.
They flirt in a sort of mean way, I guess, a little bit, and I mean, it's just the way that they're like having like characters interact is like maybe
Like, he's being introduced as the competition
Yeah.
to the love interest between her and Jackson.
which God knows that chemistry is just
Awful.
so.
She fell on him this episode.
She did fall
No,
on him
later.
this episode.
We'll talk
It's a
about
little while from now, but it's. I mean, that's how you know in a movie that
Yeah,
they're gonna fall in love.
they're literally falling and in love.
We cut over to next day. They're out. They're wolf hunting. Abraham marks the path with a stick, but they are like 6 feet away from like a parking lot filled with
Yeah,
cars.
Like, the perspective it introduces it at, it's hilarious. Because it makes it look like it's the middle of nowhere, and he's like, I'm marking our path. You want to know how to get back, right?
Which is,
And, like, they're standing 2 feet from their car.
which
like,
is a good idea, but you got to get a little bit away from your car first,
Yeah.
and then you put the first marker down.
Oh, God.
And that's it for that scene. Is they go out into the woods, and he's like, "I'm gonna put a stick in the ground." And
Well,
I'm-
not only that, they hear gunshots. Like, they
Oh,
know
yeah.
people are there. There's like 8 other trucks. And they just go into the woods without any kind of, like, safety anything.
no orange.
Like, they're not wearing any vests. They're not, like...
If anything,
Abraham's-
they're like blending in.
Yeah, Abraham is, like, genuinely wearing, like, a forest green coat. Like...
we cut back to the prison where Jackson and I forget Chloe. I want to say it's Chloe, not Jamie, who he's in the field with.
That one was with Jamie.
That one was.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because Chloe's later. Okay. Yeah, Jackson is talking about his rough childhood. About how his dad was afraid squirrels were going to attack him.
Yeah.
And so he locked himself in a motel bathroom. And then he walks over to the fence and is like, look, the wolves filled in their hole that they climbed out from under the fence with. And Jamie's like, oh, so they dug their way out underneath the fence. And it's like, yeah. How else would they?
Yeah.
It would be like, that's what I would expect. I could have figured that out without any other information besides.
A person.
Dog.
A person could have done that with their hands.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be like, also, shouldn't a fence go lower than that in a prison?
Yeah, definitely should.
Yeah.
I mean, it would be much more wild if they found, like, fur on the barbed wire and were like, they can fucking jump.
Like, they brought a TIG welder, and then, like...
Oh my god, this wolf can fucking dunk! That's sick!
Like, they just have this scene with a wolf, like, cutting through the fence, and he, like, flips up his visor, and, like, thumbs ups to Evan.
Opens his mouth and the teeth just start to spin around like a chainsaw.
That would been amazing.
So they're like,
Zoo 2, brought to you by the French government.
come on! Stop being such cowards, the French. I'm sorry, that was a little bit racist towards the French.
Wow.
I didn't mean it. Stop being such cowards and hire us to make Zoo 2, the French one. They
Zoo 2, the French one is the subtitle.
Yeah. Evan, they're like, oh, Evan escaped underneath the fence. Great. We all, like, I didn't need that extra piece of information, and I didn't need to know that Jackson Oz has a bad relationship with his dad.
Yeah, like, they
Seems
just
pretty
skip... They skip such obvious, like, we need to show this moments, and then they just keep stupid stuff like that that's, like, common sense.
Mm-hmm. Back over to wolf hunting, Mitch is on the phone. He's having a terse conversation with his ex.
God.
And
It's such a shoehorn.
Yeah, Abraham's like, also he turns off his phone at that point. Which
don't.
is no. I mean, I get like the idea that like, oh, you're gonna scare off the wolves, but like,
I agree.
Like, you have angry psychic wolves. After
Yeah.
you. Like,
they plan. You know this.
they I don't know if we covered that it was every single person in that prison was killed.
Yeah, the wolves got everyone, which is
Every
incredible.
single person.
Like a team of like 40 like people with like weaponry probably could not kill every person in a building
During a fire.
Yeah, like it's just like improbable. Like, how did they get trapped in like that? Like, just leave. Like the guard, like I get the prisoners, but the guards can like. There's got to be one dude who's just like, fuck no, absolutely fucking not.
Yeah, you just lock the door because there's places like that in the prison.
Like, lock them inside. Like, I mean, that's kind of a dick move to like everyone inside.
Yeah.
But, like,
I don't know. I'm getting
these
out.
wolves don't need to escape into the population.
But yeah, so he turns off his phone. Abraham makes a comment about how he doesn't think that Mitch can experience love. That's essentially what he says.
Yeah.
He thinks,
And then it's revealed that he has a daughter.
yeah.
Like, we've seen, like, the 24/7 interactions of this dude with just a crazy journalist, and now this, like, super secret Black Ops mission, and now all of a sudden he's like, oh, yeah, I have a daughter. And it's, like, exactly like that. It's in passing. Like, they don't address it.
Well, he's a bad dad.
Yeah,
I think
he's a bad person and a horrible father, clearly.
There's no, if you had told me ahead of time that Mitch is like, is a father, I would be like, oh, like an absentee one? Or, like, definitely not like a good dad type. Very mean to everyone. Hasn't been softened by fatherhood one bit.
Doesn't understand birthdays.
Oh, no. So yeah, that's all. They reveal that he has a father, and then they continue to creep through the woods with their net gun like Elmer Fudd chasing a rabbit.
And also, like, the shots are from a wolf's perspective.
Oh,
like,
yeah, we're seeing,
they
like...
100% have wolves after them.
Yeah, there are wolves, like, surrounding them, and they don't know at all. back over to Antarctica. We get a shot of a penguin, which I was very excited when I saw the shot of the penguin. Thought that was going to be relevant. Turns out no. I was so hyped for them to be like running from the bats or something, and they're like running down across a hill, and then they look up to their right and just like Flight of the Valkyries starts playing, and just
just a bunch of penguins start belly sliding towards them.
They're in Antarctica, and the power's back on. One of the women has gone outside. She explains this. They don't show this. She talks about what she did, which is she went out, siphoned gasoline from one of their vehicles, and made a makeshift flamethrower to kill bats. And they were like, well, nobody's going to want to see that.
Yeah.
We'll just, that's just like...
Well, we took up the time for that, explaining the whole, they crawled under a fence thing.
Who would want to see someone shoot bats with a flamethrower?
That's ridiculous. It's childish.
They got the power back on, and then she turns around to take her jacket off, and there's a bat on her back.
Yeah.
An insurgent.
It snuck in. That was their whole plan, was to lure one outside.
So that they could get one inside. And then they have, a bat, flies around the room. I've had bats loose in the house. They're, it's, frightening, and it's difficult to catch them, but it wouldn't be difficult to kill it if I wanted to.
It's more annoying than anything.
Yeah.
I don't want to kill the bat, so it's hard to catch. But if I wanted to kill it, I would just get a bat, and
which at this point you would want to do.
Yeah.
They're like, what are bats doing in Antarctica? That's not something you say in a calm voice.
She had a stick, and the way she was approaching the bat was like she was going to jab it, not in a swinging motion, which is the correct way to hit a bat.
We just don't kill enough bats.
They just don't have enough experience because they're in Antarctica.
And then the bat flies into a space heater, suiciding itself, and that somehow causes their power to go out?
Yeah, somehow the bat flying into the heater sets off this chain reaction of shortages that leads to their secondary power being just destroyed. And they're like, oh, well, it's okay. We chased the bats off. And, of course, they look outside, and the bats are coming back. And they're like, no. What did you expect, lady? What are you doing?
This is just a weird one-time thing. It's bat attacks.
Yeah, there's, thousands of bats covering every inch of our solar panel. It's just... It happens.
Yeah.
Back to the prison for a real short scene where they're they tell Jamie to go find the widow of the widow from last episode, who was the last person to be in the prison alive. And meanwhile, Jackson and Chloe. I keep saying Chloe.
It's whatever.
It doesn't matter. French lady.
French government, forgive
French
us.
Government,
I know you give us so much money.
You were so deeply, deeply funded by the French deep state.
Yeah, but we're Americans and we're better than you. It's the whole thing.
They're going off to go find Mitch and Abraham, who they've turned off their cell phones, I guess, so they have to go actually find them instead of calling them.
Yeah, God, it's just everything about that group is just dysfunctional. Meanwhile, Evan's just leading the charge.
Yeah, Evan's got it on.
Ready.
Yeah.
He was in prison. He had no time to prepare.
That's not true. Evan went to therapy in prison. He really got his life together. He knows what he wants to do.
Oh yeah, you're right. That, side subject, but you could be super productive in prison.
Oh yeah.
He probably has this whole manifesto written out.
Yeah.
Sent out to a publishing house.
He planned out his escape and his maps.
God.
He's big into cartography now.
Yeah.
It's just a hobby, but you gotta have something.
Gotta have a hobby.
So we're back in the woods. Mitch and Abraham find a den that they stare into for a little bit, but I don't think they find anything.
Yeah, nothing comes out
of the den.
It's just a hole in the ground. It just takes so much time showing a hole in the ground.
Roll back over to Chloe and Jackson, and he's asking her if she needs help or something, and she's talking about how how she knows she was hysterical in Africa when they were being attacked by lions, but she's actually very capable. And as she's saying that, she falls down, almost as if the writers were like, haha, what a funny joke that a woman would be capable.
Just that a woman in a place of power would be so much less capable than some random guy who's only the son of somebody.
Who might be capable.
Like, who got his status through no work of his own.
And she falls down and hits her head on a deer, a dead deer.
Yeah.
And she stands up. They talk about animals will roll in another dead animal's body to get their scent hidden. And then he's like maybe it wasn't an animal that did this, which is a pretty big leap to make.
Yeah.
But like we all like. Because we've watched TV and we love Evan, know that Evan definitely rolled around that fucking dead deer.
And then, like, once they're, like, grossed, once the lady's grossed out, he's, like, picks up a piece of cloth, like, this is a patch from his prison blues. Like, okay, that's how clothes work.
Yeah.
You just get a clean patch cut out of whatever, when you're rolling around in what's essentially soft tissue and blood. Like...
we do a couple of quick cuts back and forth, so I'll sort of stick to one line. Essentially, Jamie is talking to the widow, and she's saying a bunch of stuff about like how Evan seemed very evil, blah, blah, blah. Like nothing really came of that scene except like it was intercut with Evan catching Mitch and Abraham out in the woods.
Yeah.
Like essentially, there was one weird
being
part.
A badass.
Yeah, he ruled. The widow said something about like how he kept touching the Bible and saying all the answers are in here, and she was like, I don't know what that means. And it's like, I don't. Have you never met like a evangelical Christian? I don't understand.
Since she's like, and she actually does have an accent. She's like, I'm a good Christian woman, but when he. and even the way she said it, because like it very clearly sounds like it wouldn't be her vocabulary, but she's like, but when he was handling that Bible and said that all the answers were within it, I just don't know what to get of that.
It was also one of the scenes which they do this a lot in the show where they introduce a character and their first character trait is like, look at all these dead animals upon my wall. Mm-hmm. Behold.
I'm a good Christian woman. Look at all these corpses I got. And like it's a room just filled. Like
and then,
every inch of the walls just filled with dead stuff.
So yeah, Jamie's talking to this widow about Evan and how evil he is, and meanwhile Evan essentially Abraham sees a wolf pup. It's like it's younger in the woods, and he's like, I'm gonna get it, and he starts chasing it like
and
an
everyone
idiot.
Is like, what are you doing, man?
And then Mitch is like waiting for him, and then he sees like just a bunch of wolves run past him, and Mitch's reaction, which is Mitch's only reaction, is
to anything.
Ugh.
Yeah.
God.
Oh, I gotta deal with this now.
Surrounded by wolves, he's like reacting the same way I react when I can't find like a parking space.
Yeah. They're going fast, and it's like you should be terrified.
Yeah, I'd be up in a tree, 100%.
Like,
I'd be up in a tree and screaming.
And that's the thing too, is because he could have been like, "Hey, Abraham," but he's like, "Ooh, there's wolves." Like, if they're gonna get hit, I mean,
I better go.
I'm not fast as a wolf.
And so Abraham trips chasing the wolf, and then a foot comes onto his back, and it's Evan, and he's covered in shit and blood. He fucking rules. He's covered in shit and blood, and he takes the knife, and he's like...
He does some kind of Bible passage.
Yeah, he says something from the Bible about animals.
Like, as he's wanting to do.
That's all he ever says. I think that's basically all he's ever said, except for the moment when he was like, oh, are you a missus? Because I thought I killed your husband. It's that and Bible verses. And then they hear it seems like he's gonna kill Mitch and Abraham, but then they hear a gunshot off in the distance, and all the wolves, and he just like walk away, just leave them be. And then Chloe and Jackson found a dead wolf on their way to meet them.
Convenient.
Well,
not
dying.
Dying.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It was not a dead wolf, because that's important for later. they catch up with Mitch and Abraham, and they're like, "You guys, there's a crazy murderer out in these woods," and it's like, "Oh, thank you for warning us." Telling us. If only we shared information somehow using some sort of device. We pop back to Antarctica, where they're using a little bit of their precious power to play their old mixtapes.
Yeah, Oasis, I think. It is.
They're sick.
And they're,
awesome.
They're falling in love again.
Yeah.
And that's,
The power of being almost murdered by a bat is bringing them back together, and one of the woman who just flamethrowered a bunch of bats to death is like, maybe we should let the birds go, and then the bats would allow us to live, which is not like, which is a very hippy dippy thing for someone who's like just committed like a mass like burning of bats to say.
But and at the same time, it's like, because you want to be like, well, that sounds ridiculous, but they're gonna die.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, if your
they
death
know
is
that
certain,
they-
take every shot you can get.
Yeah.
Although I guess on my level, I would be like, well, we're gonna need those birds to eat.
Yeah, but I mean, not if you're freeze to death.
That's
first.
true.
Yeah.
It's hard to.
Yeah, and then they have their whole like sit down and heart to heart and
They like
talking about stuff, and then the other one's like, you know what? Maybe we should let those birds go.
and cut back to the hotel where Schaefer is talking to Chloe in the elevator. He's being an asshole. She's like letting him be an asshole a little bit too much.
He keeps talking about like interagency
cooperation.
Interagency cooperation, and he keeps saying it like, "Hey, I know this is classified, but
and you're from another country.
What are you up to?" Like, that's not interagency cooperation. That's just like
and also
doing illegal things. Yeah,
I would argue that if you wanted to know what she was up to, that as a member of like the government, you could probably get a search warrant when you saw someone carrying a car battery up to their hotel room, which is what she is currently doing. And he's like, "Are you torturing somebody in there?" And she's like, no, I have no choice. The
banquet room or something.
Yeah, she did a little quip, and like it's like, no, but really though.
Yeah, like I'm a federal agent. Like,
why do you have a car battery in your hotel room?
Oh, also, he does this. Like, doesn't he like tell her stuff that he shouldn't be telling her?
Yeah, that's a little later though. I think.
Oh.
That's what.
Because I thought it was like the whole time he was like giving her like minor information about the case.
He's been leaking little bits and pieces here and there because he's trying to impress her.
And he thinks for some reason that's not just like giving a foreign agent like information about a case.
Well, yeah, but she's pretty. So.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so.
And she goes into the room where they have somehow snuck a live wolf into a hotel room.
Like, had to go through the elevator.
Up multiple floors.
Yeah.
It's not like, I mean, they could have taken a stairwell, but it seemed like they were going up for at least 7 or 8 floors.
And it talks about the smell of the blood, because, like, it has bacteria and stuff, and apparently it smells really bad. So somehow, this ragtag group of, like, just straight out of the muddy, dirty woods people
snuck a wolf
into like a nice hotel.
And I mean, how would you get a wolf up into a Marriott?
I don't know. Like, and that's the thing. Like they show, oh well, he dug under the fence. Like, yeah, he dug under the fence. He was in a fenced-in area, and everyone was dead. What else would he do?
It would be a sick episode just to watch 40 minutes of them trying to figure out a way to get a wolf into a hotel room.
Exactly. But they show that stuff, but they don't show the bat flamethrower. They don't show sneaking a wolf into a hotel room.
It's because that's already been done with Nathan For You's the mattress being snuck out full of fleas and the Chinese dragon.
Oh.
There's nothing better than that.
That's hilarious. That's how they did it.
Yeah.
They had a Chinese dragon just go up the stairs with this wolf inside it.
This is our culture.
Yeah.
Like, well, one of you's French.
We're working with the Chinese this time. Okay.
Well,
Sponsored by the Chinese government.
she comes in. Mitch is like, here, stir this wolf blood, and they're working on this wolf. Room service comes up. Jackson Oz walks over, gives the guy like $30 or
It's
something.
$100.
$100 for 2 coconuts, which he called room service to get instead of going out and getting himself. Instead, risking them being found out
Yeah.
by room service, something they chose to ask for.
Yeah.
And the purpose is so that Mitch can do a little experiment in the coffee maker. He has lab equipment there that I saw.
But he uses the coffee maker.
He uses the coffee maker.
You know, he's got an undergrad degree.
He
you know?
does have an
Yeah.
undergrad degree. He's doing like a neat little trick. He's like, the coconut water is like the wolf's brain liquid, which I forget what that is called.
Cerebrospinal fluid.
Thank you. Look, holy shit.
I started in nursing school.
I forgot about that. We got
So
a lot
wait,
of expertise
So
in this panel.
you should probably explain this because you probably have done this before.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you were an undergrad, right?
Yeah. So you almost certainly have at some point taken a wolf's blood out.
And then
Put it in coconut water
Yeah.
on a coffee burner
And then
and
says,
sees what happens.
yeah, it should bubble or some shit like that in a couple hours.
Yeah, the bacteria in the blood, which I think basically means that they figured out what's going on.
It's making them angry. It's like if they're really angry when you use shots, it's gonna bubble.
Yeah.
And they do that and it gets bubbly.
It
bubblier.
explodes.
Yeah,
Explodes.
because he even says like it would start bubbling in a few hours if it was like the bacteria had anything to do with it, and it's like immediate and so much that the coffee maker explodes, destroying this hotel room. Like they're really bad people.
And this is when Chloe jumps on top of Jackson,
Mhm.
and they have their little moment where it's like, oh, will they? Won't they?
Yeah.
And this scene also confirms for me what I've started to suspect since seeing undergraduate written on Mitch's file, that Mitch doesn't know anything about animals at all, and he's just like talked his way into this slowly and accidentally. It's sort of one of those situations where he was in the right place at the wrong time, and Mitch is just like, because doing that thing with the coffee maker and the blood and the coconut water, it feels like someone came up to him and was like, can you do a test to figure this out? And he was like, oh man, I need to stall. I know, I'll ask for something that there's no way they could get.
Mhm.
Coconut water. And then they get it, and he has to sort of freestyle an experiment.
Yeah. I can be down with that.
I think I'm going to read this from now on that Mitch has maybe a high school education,
Yeah.
and maybe not.
He's worked his way up from janitor to pathologist.
You can get pretty far on just mean with glasses and have people think that you're smarter than you are. So coffee maker explodes. Chloe dives onto Jackson. We go back to the prison for a little scene where Jamie talks her way into the prison. She says we need to do a level 3 walk once through, and the guard is like, "What the fuck does that mean?"
Like it's just not. She's
Just one more time, even though it's been.
It's ridiculous
through.
that anything she does gets anywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, like in most jobs, and maybe this probably isn't as true the higher up in like law enforcement sort of stuff you get, but in most jobs, whenever a customer says something to me, if I were to say no, I would get told off later. So like maybe that's his sort of logic, is like, it's not worth dealing with my manager coming in and telling me that I told no to the wrong person. And like, what's she gonna do? Steal a Bible? That is exactly what she does.
What's she gonna do? Tamper with evidence? Yeah.
She steals Evan's Bible.
I was looking through it, and
every reference to animals is underlined. Evan is not like... I love Evan so much. Evan is clearly not like super sure on his philosophy. I think he
Yeah.
just likes reading shit from the Bible. He's like fucking like Jewel in Pulp Fiction. Like
Yeah.
he's just like, this shit sounds sick as hell. Are you kidding me?
Yeah. Just like make stuff up on the fly.
And so she's like, oh man, this is the jackpot. I got to take this back to everyone because there's going to be like, they're probably going to be reading this Bible for the next like 3 episodes and
Yeah.
being like, look, he circled these 3 letters. I wonder,
And-
like,
Oh my god, such a hilarious series of events
Mhm.
unfold from that.
man, she sees something in the Bible, but we don't know what it is. She finds
Oh,
like
yeah,
a
it's like a
photograph in
picture.
the Bible, and then we cut away to,
And I immediately knew what it was.
yeah, you called it instantly.
Yeah, I was like, oh, this is okay. We'll get there.
we cut away to the hunter from the hunting store earlier. He's dead in the woods, and Agent Schaefer and another person who is not named find his body and are like,
Yeah, he's got Evan's clothes on.
yeah, they're like, so if this isn't Evan, then where's Evan? And then cut to Evan in a pickup truck wearing the guy's clothes.
Yeah, just
Just
cruising.
did a Terminator move.
Just cruising.
I'm very sad that the wolves weren't all in the back of the
I
pickup
know.
truck.
Yeah, like there was
Amazing.
one like with one just sitting in the passenger seat with its arm out with like a trucker cap.
That would have been so sick. Born to Rye. Back to the hotel.
Awesome guy.
They're all talking. I have hotel talking shit as my note, and I just don't think anything really happened.
Yeah, no. All that happened was, God, the agent, like the FBI asshole dude, he comes up and he's just like, "Hey, hey, the the deputy chief or whatever said that one of your people stole a Bible from the prison," and like they don't believe it, and neither does that guy, because he's even like, "Oh, in the spirit of inner cooperation or whatever." Like, no, you just broke the law is what you did. Like, you just like got these people ready to run, and that's exactly what they did. And they call what's her face, and she's in the taxi. She's like, "Hey, I got something to show you guys." And they're like, "Not now. Don't come to the hotel. The police are looking for you. Meet us at the car place."
And then cut back to Antarctica for the
Oh,
end of
yeah,
our
yeah,
little
yeah.
movie up there, where they show the bats all flying away. You think, oh, they've let the birds go.
Yeah.
And then they pan through the room, and oh, the birds are gone, so they let them go. And then they pan over to the bed where the 2 women are both corpses.
Which brings up, I'm just realizing now that, like, it's Antarctica. Those weren't Antarctican birds.
I know.
No.
Like, even if they let them go, if that's what the bats were trying to do.
They were testing to see if they could live in fucking like Antarctic, and they just couldn't. That's why they
Yeah.
were sending. That's why the bats made like a move out there, because these 2 women were essentially like committing a war crime
Yeah.
against these birds. And so they're dead. So CBS did a great thing by putting any gay character onto their show and immediately killing them.
Mm-hmm.
Which is gonna be, I feel like we keep getting introduced to characters who it's like, look, here's a Japanese woman, dead. Look, here's a lesbian couple, dead.
It was very chilling.
It was
Yeah,
creepy.
that-
It was a great, it
it
would have been a great
yeah.
ending to an episode in terms of emotional
I
content.
feel like it should have been 100% should have
Oh,
been
yeah.
the ending.
Because
Because I mean, we were all like, "Oh, it
Yeah.
did let him go," and then it cut to her like, "Whoa!"
the birds killed them probably.
Yeah, that's some major Pompeii vibes.
Yeah,
That's terrifying.
it had like icicles.
Yeah, it was not good to look at. But no, instead we cut back to them at the car park. Well, Mitch calls animal control to come pick up the wolf.
Yeah. But the car park is my favorite part. So Jamie's waiting in there, just waiting for their car to show up. This one car shows up, And initially, I'm thinking, because she starts walking over to it, because she's like, "Oh, this is them," and I'm thinking it's not gonna be them. It's gonna be some wolves.
Yeah,
Oh,
I thought it
yeah,
was.
then-
I thought it was going to be like government officials who
Yeah,
were coming
yeah.
to arrest her.
Like, hey, what are you doing, lady?
Mhm.
But no, so they file out of like they all get out of the van for some reason, and Chloe's like yelling over. She's like, "Hey, the deputies, they lost the Bible, and they're trying to blame someone, so they're coming after you." And she's like, "No, I took the Bible." Like, so she's flat out like, "No, I'm a criminal. Like, I
No.
did that."
I stole this Bible, which I mean,
And
you
they
know.
all just go with it. Because,
Yeah.
like, up
Yeah.
until that, they genuinely believed that, like, oh, they're just trying to place the blame on somebody. We got to get out of here.
Mhm.
But then, no, like, she did it.
So they're like criminals on the run, at, like day one of their fucking like organization.
Yeah. And then she flat out says what Joey's been saying since Evan was introduced.
He's just underlined every reference to animals in the fucking
Every
Bible.
single reference to animals in the Bible.
There's no like I feel like but doing that surely there's got to be stuff about like eating animals in the
Yeah.
Bible.
Oh, yeah.
And
Like,
the whole, like, man are dominant over beasts and stuff.
it's been a while since I've read it, but I'm pretty sure it's not like a super environmentally like friendly book.
Not super. It has very conflicting messages.
But she reveals the big thing, which is she pulls out a photo and shows it to Jackson Oz, and she's like, "Does this guy look familiar? It's who he was working with leading up to this, and it's Jackson Oz's dad."
And I knew it from the second there was a picture.
Dun, dun,
I was like, he's a biologist. It said so earlier. I'm putting together stuff. I'm like, this is awesome.
Ja-
Evan's the best character.
Jackson Oz's dad is definitely still alive, by the
Oh,
way.
yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
Like, there's zero chance that he's actually dead.
Yeah. No, he's
He's gonna be in of season 1, the cliffhanger.
yeah,
I bet.
guarantee.
Yeah, oh man, it's getting good. I'm
It's-
very happy now that they're all together. It really stops hopping continents in that big way.
Yeah.
That was such huge whiplash.
It was very difficult to talk about also in a podcast format to keep track of all those scenes.
Like they're going to blah blah blah, and then this scene they're in blah blah blah.
Mississippi and Tokyo and
New
now
York.
New Orleans and
Oh, yeah.
Los Angeles.
Knowledge.
I think I felt like the animal murder in this episode was chilling, but I don't think it was very fun for me.
Yeah.
No, I mean
It
it
was
wasn't
scary.
fun because it was chilling.
Yeah, it was
Like, and that's a worrisome thing.
it was,
Because, like, part of it is the over-the-topness.
Mhm.
But then that was, like, over-the-top in, like, a real dark way.
yeah. I think the kill of the show still has to go to the entirety of the wolf
Mhm.
prison break.
Yeah, so it's still... Which they showed flashbacks of.
Yeah, at least
Even
they
the flashbacks are great.
fucking they show that instead of just telling us, yeah, I flamethrowered some bats. I did some really cool shit off screen. Shall we say what animal killings we are hoping to see coming up?
Yeah.
I already know mine.
Oh, I have mine ready as well.
I also have mine ready.
Oh, wow. Awesome.
You
Let's
go
go
first.
All
We'll
right.
go right to left.
Okay,
So-
perfect.
Since it's summer, I was thinking of movies, and I was thinking barnacles. I want the barnacles to be the next piranhas. And so, you know, they think there's a shark there, but someone playing, and someone gets like a barnacle attached, and then just more and more come until
Oh,
it drags
God.
them down,
And then they
completely covered.
like, and then they
Oh
like
my
come
God.
out and they're like a barnacle monster.
That's
Barnacle
horrific.
monster, or
That is terrifying.
eventually divers come down and they just see all these barnacle people like stuck to the bottom.
Oh
as
god,
statues.
That's an actually scary idea.
Yeah, it's great.
I desperately I got this. I love the fact that Mitch called animal control to come pick up. There's a wolf in this fucking hotel room. Holy shit! Like you have to assume that he was like pretending like it wasn't him who did
Yeah,
it. Like oh fuck.
and you hope room service doesn't get there first.
Because they just left it there.
Yeah.
Also,
But I think he's a responsible guy. And so he would have probably
not disturbed.
he would have waited around for the animal control to get there. And I like the idea of him waiting at the curb and a truck pulls up and the animal control, like he opens the animal control door because no one's coming out. And inside are 2 raccoons piling the vehicle, and they have a cell phone next to them, and then they just rip him to shreds.
I'm gonna go with the penguins. I really would like the penguins to have some kind of like showcase.
They teased us with it this time.
They really did, and I thought it was gonna be awesome. Like they were gonna be running from the bats, and then like over this mountain they'll hear a bunch of chirping, and they're like, "What's that?" And it's like an avalanche that the penguins are like
Sliding.
belly sliding on, and they're like, "Ah!"
Knee deep in penguin.
Yeah, like just a tidal wave of penguins.
Or alternatively, very slowly slapping.
Yeah, they just slap them to death with their tiny fins.
That's too many.
That'd be awesome.
Burying
Oh.
penguins.
Happy Feet 3, brought to you by the French government.